Well, hello, everyone. Yeah, sorry, it's been a while, but I know there's a lot of night owls out there that may want to listen to some ramblings of a crazy guy. So, anyways, I'm gonna, like always, I'm gonna set a mood. I'm gonna play some music, wait for some people to get in, and hey, what's up, Chad, brother? How you doing, Prepper? Oh, nothing. I'm just thinking about stuff. I was, I know, right? One more day for you, then you'll be off. But don't even worry about it, Chad, brother. It's all good. Thank you, sir. Thank you. There was this wonderful guy that I met, and he made it for me. Think his think his name's the same as yours. Oh, does it? Oh, you're lucky. Nice, brother, nice. Yeah, I forgot what it feels like to have a weekend off. But I'm too old anymore. Damn right he is, Chad. Damn right. And he likes his cheeseburgers too. Yeah. So I was out driving around and I got, you know, found an SUV on the side of the road. And the tow truck and everything was like pulling it up, and they said, I asked them, I said, what are y'all doing with that? And they said nobody's came to claim it or anything, and they're gonna haul it off to a junkyard. And I was like, if I can get it running and everything, um, can I have it? And they were like, yeah, title and everything's in the car. Hey, how you doing, Paul? Right, I like my cheeseburgers too. So I was, I worked on that SUV and everything, and I finally got it. That's wonderful, Chad. I would be the same way, brother. I'd be the same way. I feel old, Paul. I feel old. But so I got a free SUV today. I fixed it up and everything, and got it running. The it's a 1996 Ford Explorer. So, thinking about, fixing it up. It's just the regular V6 Ford Explorer. Thinking about fixing it up. Thinking about, making that like a shell camper kind of car. I know. So do I. I like free. I like free a lot. But thought about way back at everything. Uh I saw this giant billboard sign and it caught my attention. I stopped on the side of the road and supposedly now Texas has a Texas zombie force. It's a legitimate thing. It's actually been made by the CDC and the state of Texas. Oh yeah? Awesome. Awesome. I'm happy to hear that. Sorry I wasn't there on the live. I was fixing the SUV and everything. Th- Right, Chad? And seeing the state of Texas and everything. Yeah. Seeing the state of Texas, even if you have the title and everything and somebody didn't sign it or whatever, you can still apply for a lost title and get it put in your name without anything. Because that's what happens in junkyards and stuff. So I'm gonna really make that technically my bug out vehicle. I want to make it because it threw me off today when I saw Get Away Moth. Because it threw me off today when I saw Join the Fight Now, Texas Zombie Force. I was doing research and everything on this, and it's an actual legitimate, like, Texas militia for the zombie virus. Yes, Groot. I hear you. Sorry, my cat's yelling at me through the door. But that just makes me wonder what really is going on out here. What if this was a thing made by the Texas government and the CDC? Yeah, that's what I think I'm gonna do, Chad. I'll do that. Like what I was doing when I was working on my RV and everything. Um, I wanna I wanna show people how to make a a legitimate bug out vehicle. Yeah, Texas Zombie Force. And it's only one billboard sign that I seen, and I haven't seen it anywhere else. But hell, I mean, people have been planning for the zombie apocalypse ever since the first Night of the Living Dead movie came out. I mean, if it was just a normal billboard sign, I wouldn't have paid any attention to it. But it did say co-founded by the CDC. Okay. See, I haven't done any research or anything on it yet, Chad. I was thinking about doing it. Only 79 people. Well, they had a website on there, but it was in such small print that I couldn't see it. And I was driving on the side of the road and everything, and there was nowhere. I was driving on the side of the highway, and there was nowhere to actually pull off to take an actual picture of this thing. But I'm thinking maybe Wednesday when I'm off, I'll go and take a picture of that billboard sign. Hey, Guardian, how you doing, brother? Yeah, I was gonna say it was either, mid-morning or midday for you. How you doing, Guardian, brother? But um, I just yeah, I only saw that one billboard sign for it. Oh yeah, this chat's always doing good, Guardian, brother. This wonderful family of ours. Yes, that's it. Zombie Coalition. Yes. I think that's the name of it. Yeah, in Odessa. Yep. Yeah, that's where I was. I was in Odessa. Yeah. Well, Guardian, the only reason why I'm bringing it up and everything is because I got a free SUV today. And when I was in Odessa and everything, um, I saw a big billboard sign that was what Chad Smith said. Really? Thank you, brother. Thank you, Chad. Huh. Really? Hmm. Do they say anything about what its intention is? Or, hmm. But yeah, it was this one billboard sign for the Texas Zombie Coalition. I thought it was Texas Zombie Force or whatever, but I know it had a thing with the CDC with it because it said CDC on it. I just hope it's not something like, I just hope it's not a crazy group of, really, forfeited, huh? See, that makes me wonder because that sign was brand new. Like there was no tears, there was no wear on the sign or anything. Hmm, makes you wonder. I wonder if it was a ploy for something. I wonder if it was really, uh, but since you have an address, since you have that address, I want to go see if it's actually shut down, quote unquote, shut down. Because it was a brand new, out of the box sign. It's weird. Yeah, when I head back out to Odessa, I'll check it out again. Hey, Shaz sis, how you doing? It just makes me wonder. Hmm. See, that's one of the things. Oh, I'm good, Shaz sis. I'm good. I'm just thinking about stuff. See, that's the thing with preppers, into the world, survivalists, stuff like that. I'm just wondering if this is one of those prepper communities. You know what I mean? Like, Because it says coalition. So it makes you wonder. It makes you. This is why preppers get such a bad name. This is why anybody in our legitimate fields right prepper, the right guardian. But also zombie also means the state of humans in a mindset um, of media, of lifestyles, or protection, because if like a end of the world end of the world scenario happens or whatever, 90% of the human population will turn into zombie-like beings. They will do anything and everything to live the basic needs. They'll do anything for food. They'll do anything for water. They'll do anything for shelter. Anything that is deemed un unnatural, humans will resort to for longevity. Oh yeah, Guardian. Yeah, Shez. Things in this world, I mean, with the no offense, but with the older ways of thinking from dictators, from a specific lifestyle, a specific upbringing. Yeah, Guardian, hold on. Here, I'll send a link for you. Hold on. I'll send a link here. It don't bother me putting the StreamYard link in here. There you go, brother. But the one thing in this world that nobody knows their true actions or their true way of thinking or anything is humans. Hey, brother.
Hey, what's
Hey,
up, man? Thanks for having me up on the panel, bro.
always, brother. Like I said, everybody's family here. Y'all are all welcome up on my stream anytime.
I just figure, I enjoy the current ambience that you got going there. Like, it's very relaxing. I love that. Like, you can hear the crickets and sockets potentially as well.
Uh,
But yeah, it's really good. Some good
yeah,
good conversations that you're bringing up too. That's why I wanted to join as well.
thank you, brother. Yeah, it's just I saw this huge billboard sign that said, the Texas Zombie Coalition. I thought it said Texas Zombie Force, but that was the first billboard sign that I've ever seen in any of the states that had something that dramatic, dramatic, that extreme, you know? And I'm talking about a huge billboard sign, brand new, like it was put up yesterday. And
I wonder which company is busy fronting that. Was there a company attached to it?
well, the Wade Chad said that it says it's an LLC, so it's a independent, you know, firm, like an independent business or something. But I wanna, but he found the address for it, and I wanna go and check out their headquarters, like because
Yeah, so you could check them. Most likely, check them out as well on Google Earth. Um, there's a couple of other
mm,
global monitoring sites that you can use, but Google Earth does the job for entry.
oh yeah, I just because sometimes Google Earth will find the right imagery, like if there's cars outside or something like that. But sometimes, a lot of their imagery is when it's not busy. I'd like to see it in real life. Check out and see if there is it, because you can see if there's been activity there or not. Like big trucks moving in or anything like that, and that you can't really see on Google Earth. It's just,
Yeah, you were speaking earlier about the whole zombification thing and the way that people are
mhm,
kind of. I was having a conversation with my friend's father through the week. I stopped over there for a bit, and we were speaking about the way that people, you say if there were to be some sort of catastrophe, that people would be just become desperate, and that's absolutely the truth. It's not the people who are prepared that are the most like concerning. It's the people who have been just like, oh well, I'll just when it comes to last minute, I'll just go and raid stores or whatever their ideology is behind it. But it's like it's unfortunate that even right now you'd expect so many more people to be talking like about the Russia Ukraine thing in almost like a constructive manner too. I know that
mhm,
with YouTube, I'm always sensitive on speaking about. I never talk about race, religion, politics, just as like a
right.
just as the way that I see things. So
Oh yeah, brother. I mean, I understand. It's just, and like in times of war and stuff like that, there's so many refugee camps. There's so many people, so many countries or whatever that's willing to give handouts. So I don't ever see like war or anything like that as a point of people doing anything that desperate yet. Um, it has to take a few months to a year. I mean, like Venezuela. Venezuela didn't have that many problems or anything until months after the situation, when people were killing people for a loaf of bread, you know?
so if you look, Venezuela is a very interesting topic to bring up, and it's always funny when people bring it up as well because if you look at the mirrored events that occurred in Venezuela and what's been happening in my own country of South Africa,
Right.
I could speak on this for a long time about it. I won't though, because I know that some people don't always enjoy like the geopolitical sides to things. But we're in a very similar situation. We're in a very, very, very similar situation to what Venezuela went through. There's so many things that I just can't and I'm not allowed to speak about on public platforms. We don't have freedom of speech the way that you guys do. So, like for us, there are limited things that I can speak about openly, and I understand. I've been speaking about things for long enough to understand what I can and can't speak about. But it's like some of the ways that our country as well is going is pretty intense. And then in places like Venezuela, who my heart goes out to, like I've got so much compassion for, and so much sympathy for what they're really going through right now. But it's like, look at what's happening in Venezuela, and then you take the fact that the situation, I'll call it that, is occurring in Eastern Europe, well, in Europe in general, is occurring right now. And then you look at that and you realize that there's a lot of potential things that could impact countries that are already struggling, such as Venezuela and South Africa. Watch what happens when the fuel prices rise, and we're already struggling as nations. You guys are getting hit there in the US too. Like your prices are going up exorbitantly, and I've been speaking to some of my friends in the States as well and finding out what's happening on your end, and it doesn't look good.
Hmm. The thing is through because of I because of my degree and everything, cultural anthropology, I've always looked at technically the smaller countries because in a real world, like what's going on right now, the major countries, the major quote unquote quote first world countries are the ones that are going. Oh, how you doing, Steve, brother? Um, like America, Canada, places like that. Yeah, yeah, we're seeing small little, you know, problems. It can get bigger, but this is just the tip of the iceberg for us. We don't really have to start worrying. It's the other countries that is a part of us that we have to and that I worry about because like in your country, in Venezuela and stuff like that, that's where the majority of the zombification kind of quote will go on. People killing people for food, people killing people for whatever that they need. They believe that they need it. So, and this person has it, they don't have it. So, why not kill them and take it? But here in
Not only
America,
It's parents,
you
dude. Like parents, look out for parents. Parents will be driven way far beyond the needs of themselves for their kids. They will literally, and I can speak on this as well, like from a parent standpoint. Like
know,
I'm usually a very friendly, passive, and happy go lucky kind of person. Very down to earth, whatever I consider myself. But when it comes to like my kids, like nothing will stop me from making sure that my kids have like the ability to survive. And that's what I'm just saying. Like when it comes down to different types of people, be very cautious for concerning some of the parents that haven't been prepping. You know, they
right.
could definitely become quite extreme.
And see that's one of the major things that's going to happen here is like here in America, you're going to see families that have between 3 kids to 8 kids. It's and not all of them are good parents, you know what I mean? But the majority of them are. And like what you said, family values are first. Take care of your own before anybody else out there. And that's that's what's going to drive people to doing, you know, the rating, the joining each other and being a mass group. It's not for them. It's more for their kids to be able to thrive and survive. Um, because no matter what, we're always looking towards the future, and the future is your children, you know? No matter what happens to you, your child you'll do whatever you need for your child to survive before you. Um, but that's why I worry about the smaller countries. That's why I watch the smaller countries more than I see or really care what's happening in America, you know what I mean? Or the major first world countries, because it may not come back, it may stable out, but gas prices isn't a thing I worry about. I don't we've seen gas go up to almost $6 a gallon, like, 4 years ago. There wasn't even enough after, the hurricane hit, the oil fields in the Gulf of Mexico, in Louisiana. We were seeing maybe one, you know, petrol delivery to gas stations maybe once a month, and then when the gas station ran out of gas, it ran out, and we weren't getting anything else, and they were limiting us to, I think it was, like, 8 gallons per person, and there was lines to these gas stations as long as a football field, you know? So, that's already happened to us before, but Americans, I hate saying it, but Americans are blind and dumb to situations. They only start caring and saying stuff and doing stuff when it's right at their front door knocking on it.
Well, can I interject there just for a second about that? That
Yep.
is a perception that could come from the inside, right? But I'll tell you that from the outside, there's no other country that has as strong of a prepper kind of feel. Like there's no country. The reason why I am a prepper in the way that I am, look, I come from scouts and survival and cabs and all that growing up, and I'm still
Yep.
becoming even more involved in that whole the entire sphere recently, which is great. But it's like when it does come down to it, I learned my prepping style is purely American. Like the way
Yep.
that you guys are prepped in a lot of ways as well. It's
Yep.
only because of the US, and it's something that people don't always focus on, but it's only because of the US that I've become look all across the world. There's militaries that are also preppers. You could say the same, but like when it
Yep.
comes down to it, the American style of prepping, the fact that you guys have enough people that objectively try and view things from a pragmatic perspective, where you try and understand what could potentially happen and stuff like that. Like that's why I can understand from where you're sitting that it could look like that. But I promise
Yep.
you that if it wasn't for Americans, I wouldn't be prepped in the way that I am.
I mean, I understand too, brother. Like, I grew up in a prepping. My grandparents went through the Depression. My grandparents went through the Dust Bowl. They prepped on a different scale than how we prep today. They didn't prep because my grandparents, they could make anything that they needed. My grandmother, she could make any kind of wool blanket. She could make any kind of quilts, whatever, out of any scraps or whatever. I was taught by them to only buy and collect what you need in material items. Always be your number one fear is food, because food, no matter where you're at, you may be able to grow a small amount of food, or if you're in fertile land, you can grow a lot of food. But being so close to other individuals, you have to take that mindset of thievery, of theft, and if somebody sees that you have a garden a mass growing garden, or you have livestock or anything, and they're sitting there starving. And it's kind of like the story of the ant and the grasshopper. You know, the the majority of the people in the United States, I mean, the prepper community, the prepper community and everything really truly makes up maybe 1 to 3% of the United States. Um, but the majority of everybody don't think like that. The majority of people in America, in their fridges and in their cupboards, they only shop week to week. They don't overbuy, you know. They usually have a meal plan, they prep for their meal plan for the week. Like a lot of my security guards, half of them when the pandemic happened and we were laid off, half of them didn't even have food for the month, I mean, for the first 3 months, you know? They they were literally having to go to their parents' house to get a backstock of food because they did not have it where they were.
Second started, there's something else to this though,
Yep.
with what you're saying. And the other thing is that in a country where you don't have as many potential imminent threats as, like I'm just saying comparatively, of course, in a lot of ways, the whole world versus the US, and there's that whole kind of thing where people say that, but that's not the truth. There's obviously the allied factions as well that would always stand together. But when
Right.
it comes to when it comes to imagine for a moment that you're in my position, right, where
Yeah.
you've been trying to encourage people to be into preparedness for the longest time. Like it's always something that you bring up, but every time that you bring it up, like it always gets shut down instantly. And trust me when I say that I bring it up in a very subtle way. I don't ever like bombard somebody with, hey, like, are you prepped or something stupid? You know what I mean? That's not how I do
Yeah.
it. Like I just ask them if they enjoy outdoors, like if they feel that they potentially could be capable for the
Mhm.
ability to be self-sustaining, that type of thing. And it's unfortunate that in a country that has so much more like negatives about it. I mean, we
Yeah.
are a third world country. There's a lot of things that are upside down in our country. As beautiful as it is, and as hopeful for the future of the country as I am, I'll definitely
Right.
say that there are. Imagine what it's like. This is what I was saying. Imagine what it's like if there's no preppers at all. If there's hardly any preppers in my country, and that's the truth. Like, there's very, very few preppers in our country of South Africa, and the preppers that are here are not in the same like they're not in the same almost boat as me. I could say like where I'm much more international in terms of like trying to, with my business and traveling and everything like that. I'm much more like I travel a lot more. The people that are
Yeah.
local that are into preparedness here are I can't even speak of them because they're usually of a certain sect, and it's people that are from the Dutch descendants. They're actually, and no offense whatsoever towards them, but they just don't always see eye to eye with, because I'm more from your British and India descendants, and that type of
Mhm.
thing, where a lot of people from the outside are like, wait, what do you mean? Like, this isn't common knowledge to most people outside of South Africa, but there's a vast difference between cultures that occur here. Say, for example, that the Dutch descendant people from Holland as well, they're known as Afrikaans, and
Yeah.
there's a couple of Afrikaans people that are preppers who are also the farmers, and they're known as to some people they're known as the boer. It's an
Okay.
Afrikaans word for farmer. So yeah, they're very different from me is all I'm saying. But if
Right.
imagine trying to speak to people about preparedness, and every time you speak to anybody, nobody at all really like is into prepping at all. Like it's such a fringe thing here locally. So I do think that in those terms, there is a lot more hope than you may see on the surface. And I'm just trying to encourage that within you, Second Star, as well, to know that as destitute as it kind of sometimes can seem with the way that people have a negative approach to it, I promise you that it's 10 times worse here locally. Like for me, to try and get people into preparedness. You know, it's something that they don't want to get. Hello, Uncle Al. Good to see you.
Hey,
Hi.
well, I mean,
That's all I wanted to say about it, really. I'd
oh,
love to hear what Uncle Al says about it. Go ahead, second star. My apologies.
you're good, brother. I was just gonna say, like, the same thing here. Like, when you start talking to people about prepping or anything like that, like, I always tell my security guards and everything, like, what what would you do if you were laid off this month? Do you have enough food? Do you have enough any household items or anything to keep you afloat until you can get a new job? I always and the majority of them say no. Majority of them are like a majority of these people are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't even have savings accounts. They don't even have, they just have their checking account and that's it. And when you say, oh, you need to, maybe spend an extra $5 a week and buy five more items, bag of beans or something like that for that prep. I don't ever say for that prep. I say for that instance because you never know if you're going to screw up and I have to fire you tomorrow. Your job isn't forever. But here in America, we believe that there's so many jobs and so many places that they could lose their job today and get another job tomorrow. It's not like it was in the 60s and the 70s where you literally could quit today and start working tomorrow, you know? But it's that mindset that we're in America or we can get benefits or whatever. So,
Yeah. Hi, Matt. Hi, Guardian Prepper, and hi, everybody on the chat. It's your old pal, Uncle Al. I took a day off, so I just fill in a whatchamacallit, a video just a couple of minutes ago on people were asking me what kind of Russian personal defense weapons, and I kind of look at them like I got a headache, and I understand what's Guardian Prepper is talking about in South
yeah.
Africa, between uh, certain districts or areas or groups of people, because South
Hmm.
Africa has a really long history. You
Oh,
have
yeah.
the Zulus, you have the Boers or Afrikaners, you
And the Xhosa,
have
Xhosa
yeah,
and the Ndebele.
right. You got
Yeah.
so many different groups in South Africa, not including the smaller minorities of Indian, British, Malaysian, Chinese. I
Hey,
forgot.
Oz, brother. Hey, hey, Chaka.
I check. It's like there's different groups and they got their own reasons why they get ready. And those who suffered in the past are really prepared. And those
Mm,
who just recently got there within the last 20 or 40 years, it's like, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea. They're clueless like the rest of the world. But those who suffered did. So a lot of them is like, we ain't taking this. So they're fairly independent and they're also
mm,
clannish. So you can't, they don't like to talk to outsiders. If you're not part of that group, they don't want you there. Uh,
mm-hmm.
Guard,
Yeah, there are certain sects that are similar to that.
Yeah.
As you say, there's such a variety. Go ahead, Uncle Al.
like Guardian Prepper right there says there are certain sects in South Africa that are very clannish, like
Yeah.
the Zulus. The Zulu tribes are really clannish. And a lot of people think it's like the bad Zulu movies of the 70s. No, these are guys they have better weapons than most people. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Because I did a weapons check. I'm like, dang, they got some neat stuff from the Israelis and FM. And like, We don't have that here in America, and the Zulus do have it because
Right.
the Zulus, and then you see other people, and everybody's keeping quiet because they don't want to know who's which side of the fence you're on, and they're really paranoid. Similar to America and similar to what I'm discussing, because personal weaponry or personal defense weapons is one of my hobbies that I
Mm-hmm.
like to talk about, and I do warn people. You could take prepping so far, but it's a new term. It's just plain
Right.
old trying to survive day to day
Yeah.
with any kind of event that happening. Now everybody's screaming, "What am I going to do for a nuclear war?" Uh,
Yeah.
I keep telling them, crack a beer and get the lawn chair out and enjoy the radiation, die from a slow death.
Yeah.
Because a
Water,
lot of, yeah,
water. It's water. With what do you do with radiation? Water, 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 water. Like if you can build a little shelter underneath like a river or something, extremely hard and hardly anybody can do it. But if you can do something like that and use water to your advantage, like just make sure that you have enough water around, like in every way possible. Make sure that you have water that isn't going to be affected from anywhere.
right,
Try and seal up everything as much as you possibly can. Try and have as much stock in a certain place as you possibly can if your home doesn't get completely annihilated. But sorry, go ahead. But definitely water
You're good,
is
Guardian.
absolutely key, and just stay the hell away from everything outside. Like
right,
seal up
Right.
as much as you possibly can and
right.
just see if you can hold it out.
But that always cracks me up, Guardian Prepper, because a lot of people don't understand that you have to breathe. And I've seen some shelters where they totally seal up the house. I said, you're going to die from you
Exposure.
suffocate. No,
Yeah.
Asphyxiation.
that's it. That what he said. The
Yeah.
big problem is a lot of people don't understand radiation. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, you have two forms. You have fallout and the blast. The blast is either um, direct because my family felt it in Nagasaki. Um,
Right.
my uncle survived the atomic blast there, and it was very
Mm-hmm.
close to ground zero when it airburst over Nagasaki. He was young, 18 years old, was in a defensive army unit.
Right.
And the big problem with that was he got lost and he went behind a wall. He saw a bomb, so he didn't take any chances. He ducked behind a wall. He heard his squad maybe 30 or 40 feet away and was going to pop his head off. Hey guys, I found you. I'm here. And then what happened? The bomb went off. His squad got disintegrated because of the radiation and the heat blast. They got
Yeah.
fried into the wall. And when he came out after the shock wave and everything, uh, it looked like every kind of nuclear war movie. He was still alive,
Mm-hmm.
but everybody else in the squad was vaporized. All he saw was boots on the ground or shoes. That was it. There's nothing left of them. Their shadows were imprinted against the wall. That's how bad it was. And my
See,
uncle, yeah,
I was just gonna say, see, the thing is also the long-term effects because when from a from a scientific standpoint, from when I was in college and everything, is the radiation also travels with the wind.
right.
Like wherever it blows,
Yeah,
yes, it gets weaker, but it's still there.
I got to correct a lot of people on that. On radiation, my uncle didn't know about that. That was still new science for everybody.
Yeah,
But he had food and he had water. And a lot of people died in Nagasaki drinking or breathing black air, that was the fallout, or
yep,
drinking black water.
yep,
Okay. Black water was water with the fallout in it, and people were drinking this out of the rivers, out of the taps, everywhere. He had his own water in the canteen, and that lasted him for a day. If he didn't have that, he would have died from radiation poisoning that day. He died when he was like 85, and I was listening to all this and like, wow, that's yeah. He died from cancer, but he took
well, there's
every
still
yeah.
oh.
But
I was just gonna say, like in Arizona, from where they were doing the nuclear tests and everything back in, the 40s and stuff in Arizona, the bomb areas.
okay, I have to correct you. It's not Arizona,
Mm.
New Mexico and Nevada.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, wherever it is, but there's still water sources there that is still highly contaminated, like
Uh,
underground water sources from
Right,
that fallout. Like, well, from that testing.
right. But I got to clarify to a lot of people. Filters do not take out radiation and heavy metals. And Matt just
Hmm.
proved it. Okay. People don't understand. Well, I have this NBC filter, it'll take out everything. No, it won't.
No.
You just got conned. You paid for crap. All right. People said you can
Yep.
make homemade filters. Again, you got
No.
conned. Okay. Unless it's a deep well, you either
It's
store
definitely.
water because it's going to take about 4 to 6 weeks before you could drink the water where the radiation, the fallout will wash away. First radiation is
Yeah.
alpha. That's the weakest particle, but it still causes
Hmm.
burns. And if you inhale it, um, everybody ever seen that documentary on the um, paint watching girls? That's alpha radiation that glows in the dark. You see it on the old watches.
Yeah.
Well, they used to
Yeah.
lick the paintbrushes to dab on the glowing paint, and they would crack up by painting themselves with the glowing luminous paint. That's alpha radiation.
Then they realized only later, much later, that it came out, and she had such a struggle to try and win that makeup argument as well, that lawsuit.
Oh yeah, especially when
Yeah.
their lips fell off, their jaws fell out, they went
Yeah,
blind.
yeah, it's intense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, next one is beta radiation. Beta radiation can be stopped by wood, stone, water. That's fine, but it lasts longer. It lasts 2 weeks. And that one you do not want to digest. That one caused internal damage into a lot of Japanese died from stomach cancer and bone cancer because beta radiation picks up fairly easy in the human body. So you have to be careful on that. And I do warn people, oh, I have a gas mask. Yes and no. Okay.
Yep.
Unless you have a nuclear biological filter, it's only good for 4 hours. And then it deteriorates because of moisture and radiation. So, into that 4 hours, you have to change it. Okay. And radiation is not chemical or biological.
And
Okay.
that's if you're able to have replacements.
Right. And if you try to, well, that should last us for about a month. No, it won't. And you have to remove it and get rid of it. You have to, like, you have a container full of radiation. What the hell are you going to do? Well, let's put it in a coffee can, put it on the shelf. No, you have to get rid of it out of your shelter. I'm coming
Yep.
to that after I finish gamma. Gamma radiation, the gamma particles of fallout, is the deadliest of all three. You need lead, you need dirt. Depends how far away from the blast you are and on the size of the particle. You need
Yep.
anywhere from 3 to 5 feet of dirt, 15 feet of water, and what else? Um, I think 2 feet of concrete and three
Yeah.
3 feet of dirt, 3 to 5 feet of dirt. I'm doing the math in my head. Uh, a foot of wood, a foot of gravel, and about
Also, you can replace wood with the supposedly the honeycomb rubber if you can get that, the thick rubber. But I'm just saying for makeshift if you don't have enough wood.
right. But
But it's still not.
but everybody's seen the movie Where the Wind Blows, where the
Yeah.
elderly couple did that. What happened to the end of the movie? They
Oh yeah.
died.
I mean, I'm just saying like for a you know quick, cheap replacement. I'm not saying like put it up forever.
Yeah. But like I said, a lot of people don't understand on because I saw some prepping channels, they're making homemade bomb shelters and they kind of
Hmm.
goofed up on one thing. That is inside the shelter, you have to maintain a certain pressure.
Yep.
Okay. You have to have air flowing because let's say you have a small, about size my den room or a little bigger, that you have to stay in there for about a month. Now, some of them did the correct entrance way. Unfortunately, they failed on a lot of other things. They didn't make an airlock. You want to keep the dust and gases out. And a lot of people didn't know that about the gases from after a nuclear blast. There's certain creepy things you don't want to inhale.
Hmm.
Okay. Even the crews that went to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they went in there, no masks, and they had Geiger counters like, this is weird. They died as same as the Japanese who lingered in these spots. And
Yep.
people forget about that. And during the 50s, during late 40s and 50s, they did a lot of nuclear tests. And the radiation was kind of, let's see, weird. And yeah, true, uh, Guardian Prepper, but you should read the old novel On the Beach. Everybody thought Australia and South Africa was safe. Boy, they were wrong. um, the trouble with radiation, okay, fallout, it travels worldwide. It depends on the strength of the blast. Now, right now, I keep telling people they change from the 80s and 90s stuff to the 2000s stuff. So unless you're in a certain area because of salt and other things, there's no targets. I've seen a lot of maps showing these fallout fields, but there's nothing there. The base is closed. It's a bird sanctuary, or it's a shopping mall, or it's been
Hmm.
closed for over 60 years. There's nothing out there. I had people on other channels who explore abandoned military sites. They were laughing. There's nothing there. There's old barracks and old weapons storage area. One went down a silo. They were cracking up, you
Right.
know, because people don't understand. And gamma radiation, back to the fallout stuff. On gamma radiation, you have to be very, very careful. And I still got, uh, yeah, mad, but you got to be very, very careful on that. They changed their nuclear plans because a lot of countries are not that crazy anymore. It's selected surgical strike. MAD went out the door at year 2000 for two reasons. It's damn expensive to get and load a 10 megaton bomb or 5 megaton bomb or series of it. You have to maintain that weapon. You don't want to shoot the missile and all of a sudden the missile loops back and like, oh crap, we're screwed, and blow
Hmm.
yourself up. Look at North Korea. Some of their missiles came back and hit their own. Whoops, we just blew up that part of North Korea that nobody. Oh, you mean people were living there? Ah, crud. Okay. You don't want missiles coming back to you. That's why a lot of these MAD programs have been changed. It's surgical strikes. And a lot of them have cut down their yields because they're using now hypersonic weapons. And I keep telling people it's not the old 10 or 5 megaton bombs. Okay. Those are expensive. And the guidance systems on those things, you have to maintain them. You can't go, well, we got these missiles out here. Yeah, half those missiles in Russia, all their engines have been sold to Elon Musk or the guy from Amazon. They bought their
Hmm.
Okay,
engines.
so
Go ahead,
no,
GP.
I was
Or
just saying Jeff Bezos. Yeah,
yeah. So a lot of missile sites that, and you see these nuclear maps everybody's showing, they're outdated by 30, 40 years. There's no bases there. Like I tell everybody, they have bases, but they're very stringent about it. And the ones I checked out, West Coast don't have to worry about it. It's only isolated bases. And most factions already figured out a way to get rid of it. They're not going to use nuclear. They're going to do a lot of nuclear on the East Coast and certain spots in the US, but they're not going to waste their time. They're going to have either send special forces, they're going to use gas because nobody expects that. You know, oh, what's that horrible smell? Or they're going
It's
to drive
easier to use biological weapons.
right, or they'll drop a biological weapons. A lot of people, go ahead.
No, no, I'm listening. Sorry,
A lot of
continue.
people don't realize that a couple of these weapons that I'm really nervous about is return of K fever or Q fever. Q fever came out of the British studies of the cattle in Australia during the 50s. They had a big Q fever outbreak back then, and they kind of killed off some Australians by accident. And then K fever came out of South Africa. Both weapons were destroyed because they were the real early biologicals. They didn't kill you; they
Hmm.
kind of crippled you. It's like the Red Dragon, the CCP tried to do.
Yeah.
The CCP tried to do with samples of Q fever. Unfortunately, they burned that city down to the ground. They nailed people into their houses and just torched the city
Well,
because
even mustard gas, we still don't have any true protection against mustard gas.
got to be careful. Mustard gas is the oil base. It's used to be an insecticide,
Right.
and it sticks to you. You're
Yeah.
the aphis, and here's the mustard gas spray. And some spots in France, after a oh, you have a robot voice.
Yeah, my phone started going off with text messages from my work.
No problem. Um, Mustard gas. The trouble with mustard gas, it lingers. There's some spots in France over 100 years old or 120 years old. They have mustard gas spots. People are scratching and coughing, and they
Yep.
have to go to the hospital because somebody dug up an old trench and the vapors from that trench rolled in. And people
Yep.
who are archaeologists wondering, what the hell's happening? It's mustard gas. Okay.
Yep.
There's newer types of gases, which are a lot cleaner and a lot cheaper, that they can do. Okay. That they could do in certain areas. Now, I've been figuring out what they're going to do on the West Coast. They're going to leave California and Oregon alone because, hell, you could come in and hit everything with a fly swatter and everything folds. They probably would nuke San Francisco and probably Seattle for two reasons. One, a lot they got double crossed in San Francisco, and it's more of a payback thing for the
Hmm.
technology giants that were messing with people. And Seattle is a key point for the whole West Coast. A lot of
Hey,
people,
vodka sis.
eh, because they think, oh, why not hit other places? They have bigger bases and more troops and stuff. No, Washington State is a key point because it smacks up to Canada's British Columbia. And also, a lot of people don't know the geographics. If you take that point, you cut off Alaska and half of the um, Pacific Northwest. You can't do anything. So if anybody wants to take over Alaska, that's it. Washington also supplies everything on the west coast of Canada. That's gone. And Port of Vancouver is not that far away. So if you know what you're doing and you know your tactics, only place you want to hit the west coast is Washington. That way you could go down the chain in the Pacific, Alaska, Washington, Alaska, Hawaii, Guam. Um, I forget how many little islands. On the Pacific, it's about 100 little territories, gets wiped
Hmm.
off of the face of the earth. and then you have Okinawa. And I told in I got a secret dislike because I told what happens to the Air Force and the Marines. They get double crossed because there's certain powers in the United States are buddy buddy
Yeah.
with certain forces. Now, with again back to the nuclear stuff, ventilation in a room like this,
Hmm.
4 people. Okay, now you figure out the body temperature of a normal human being. Take
Yeah.
a wild guess, guys.
It's like 98 point something.
97 or 96.
Yeah.
That's Fahrenheit. But in a confined space, it's going to get hot and sweaty in there. Also, a lot of people don't know that people sweat, fart, breathe carbon dioxide out. So you have
Yep.
4 people in a tight room that you have to bring in fresh air. You cannot open the door. Hey, let's open the door. Bring in that contaminated air in it. Breathe in. No, it doesn't work like that. You
Yeah.
have to have an air filter. And then you also have a purge system to purge the moisture, CO2, and excess heat, or you're going to cook in the shelter. A lot
Yep.
of people say, oh, it's going to be cold in the shelter. I'm going to have a wood stove or electric stove or electric heater. Does that make sense to you guys? Wood stove in a bomb shelter?
No. See, when it comes to something like a nuclear
You're gonna smoke
blast or
yourself out.
anything like that. Oh, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, it's just saying you're gonna smoke yourself out. Go ahead, second star.
Yeah. No, like when it comes to a nuclear fallout or anything like that, I, I'm tell you the truth. I never prep for any of that stuff because there's too much minute details that can get you killed. And I it, and I'm not talking about major issues. I'm talking about minute details that you miss. And if you miss 15 out of 100 of those minute details, you're screwed either way. I mean, and especially if you live near major cities that they want to get rid of, I mean, or live in the major city that they want to get rid of, you're already screwed. You're already dead. I mean, you might as well just smile and look up at you know, look up at the sky because I hate saying it, but in that most extreme situation, it's truly, truly a lost game, no matter what.
Yeah, everybody else in the world's die except for Uncle Alan. Uncle
Yeah.
Alan come out and shoot all you mutants. You're radioactive. Boom.
Hmm.
Uncle Alan's been planning this for 40 years. I'm not screwing around, guys. I have
Yeah.
designed. I This is why I'm broke all the time. Other than helping people, I have everything set up so I could survive a year underground.
Yeah. And
Not in
see,
my
I
house.
ain't got the money for that.
Oh,
So
it's easy. I keep telling people, but nobody ever watches my channel or listens to old Uncle Al. They think old
I
Uncle Al,
listen, I
old.
watch.
They think old Uncle Alan's nuts. I keep telling
Yeah.
people, like in South Africa, you have a lot of the old mines. Perfect bomb shelter. It's already dug. All you have to do is reinforce it and put in air filtration system. Also, you have to watch out for anything living in the mine shaft that's going to come after you. But
Yeah.
like I said, I already bought a mine shaft. I told people I'm doing a little mining up there because I'm living in a mining district and it's a big enough that I could drive my truck in there. I already destroyed the road up there. I have a horse trail. The road's
Yeah.
gone. Before that, I had my 250, and when I was younger and it didn't had all this damage, I took concrete, rebar, and I and cinder blocks and another thing. I did the whole 9 yards in it because I know
Yeah.
what I'm doing. So I have a camper in there, a little camper. It has a toilet, electricity. I have all the works. I don't have to worry about it. I'll sit in there for a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody else is screwed to the max. And they're wondering, how come Uncle Alan's living so nice? Because Uncle Alan prepares and knows what he's doing. Like I said, water, food, air, communication, and sanitation. A lot of preppers miss this and have no idea what they're doing on ventilation.
Yeah.
Because the big thing with ventilation, you have to get rid of the exhaust gases. And two, I hear some of these people, yes. And if you know where they're at, you could adapt it fairly quickly and fairly easy. Doesn't take that much. And some of these mines, yeah, if I did that, I'd be happy too. But like I said, I do have a cattle tank. And if anybody who ever farms or cattle, that's I could get different sized cattle tanks used for agricultural use. The smallest
Yeah.
one I got into the mine shaft was about 1,000 gallons. It's empty. It's fairly lightweight. Just roll it in, fill it up with water. Now that was a cow filling up 1,000 gallon tank by hand. Well, they'll take another 5 gallon bucket and pour it in, and
Oh yeah.
it took me 6 months to do it.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
also, I use another one to store. Well, if I have to do number two or number one, it's there. And also, it's free fertilizer, folks. And if you do
Yep.
it in that condition, also produce methane gas, which I can burn because nobody ever thinks ahead and everybody thinks old Uncle Alan's like, "Bleh, bleh, bleh." No, I think ahead of everything. Okay.
Methane gas is one of the ones that my grandparents used because we had pigs.
Right.
So I mean, we my grandfather had a right when PVC was first starting to get big. He put PVC up underneath um, the pig pen, and all that methane gas and everything that was coming out was going straight into our propane tank. So,
Right.
and we never had to fill it back up.
Right. The biggest problem is a lot of people are talking about power generation, and I kind
Yeah,
of look at them and I keep warning them that we'll be on the internet. Uh, and I kind of look at them again. I don't think so.
yeah. It's just
Because
yay, my rain catchment's actually collecting rainwater now.
which is good. The only
Yeah,
problem with power generation in a bomb shelter, you have to control it. Now, practice homesteader used to be practice prepper or survival, whatever,
yeah.
has a battery bank, which is good. The only problem is he was telling, I'll do solar, which is a little bit weird because you have ionized radiation and also fallout clouds. And true.
Yeah.
Okay, Auslander talk about he understands what I'm talking about.
Yep.
The other thing is I'm also saving the waste for fertilizer after the radiation because Uncle Alan's going to dig Martian trenches. And a lot of people ask
Mm,
me that, and that takes a whole live stream to explain. But
yeah.
because I want to grow food after the fallout, because Hubble's cat did that. And two
Mm-hmm.
ways you grow food after a nuclear war: Martian trenches, you go look it up, folks, and hydroponics. And people still look at like me like I stepped on their cat. Meow.
Yeah. I got
Okay.
I got the hydroponics, but Martian trenches. I've read about it. I've researched it, but here in Texas, it's especially on my land. You dig about 3 foot down, you're hitting bedrock.
Right.
So
That's the problem with the Martian trench in
yeah.
Texas. It works better up north. Doesn't work in the
Hmm.
Rockies. It does not work in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're better off doing hydroponics. But a
Yep.
lot of people fail to understand there's a lot of information to go through that. Okay.
Hmm.
You have to be very, very careful because most preppers or survivalists or whatever, first thing
Yeah.
they're going to die from, bad water. Second thing, they're going to suffocate. Yeah, let's have an electric heater in our bomb shelter. That'll keep us nice and warm.
Hmm.
Okay. How are you going to get rid of the carbon monoxide and exhaust gases? Well, I'll open a window.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God, my head hurts. It's like, or I'll open the door.
Right.
It's like, oh, God, these people won't survive if a squirrel hit them with an atomic bomb. Hey, we're little tiny squirrels. We have our own atomic bombs. We're going to get rid of you. No. Okay. Back to the serious side. You do have your shelters. You do set up airlocks. You do have power. You're either going to be on a bicycle to generate it because any other forms of generation, gas, electric, um, solar, it's not going to work for two reasons: ionized radiation in the atmosphere and
Hmm.
EMP. So if a bomb goes off and your equipment, like we have the internet, we have phones, we'll be fine. Look,
Yeah.
it'll work. No, Starlink doesn't guarantee that. If a nuclear impulse goes off, that phone is dead. Anything that's plugged in, a laptop or anything that is not shielded or Faraday cage, is fried. This goes for
If you're
solar
close enough, not even a Faraday cage is
affected.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, remember they showing that thing you put in your car? That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a con.
Yeah. I felt that when they first started advertising it. I was like, what the hell?
It's a con, folks. It's like
Yeah.
the water filters. Yes, you have clean drinking water from black water. No, you die.
Yeah. It's like trying to go to South America and drink out of the arsenic rivers.
Right.
Like people think, "Oh, I'm going to take a life straw and everything and survive down there." No, you're not.
No.
Like,
Or it's more funnier is like they get, we put it through the filter and we got this delicious glass of water and
hmm.
it's cool water plus radiation. What do you think is going to happen to that person?
Oh yeah, the everything.
Yeah, you have the pool chemicals, you have the
Yeah,
radiation, and you have the heavy metals from the gases I've been telling people, and they're looking at me like I stepped on their cat. Oh, and bookings.com, they stole my catchphrase. It's not rocket science. It's like
yeah.
people are like, wait, didn't Uncle Alan say that? It's not rocket science, folks.
Hmm.
But like I said, right now, I have to agree with Auslander on that. You have to be really careful
Yeah,
with technology because the way weaponry is working, we haven't seen the really. Go see my latest video on my channel. Um,
yeah.
uh, Everybody knows old Uncle Al Die Bullfrog. If you don't see it, it's on the bottom. Let me get one of my cheater things. I have to
Hold
outthink
on.
YouTube.
Let me do. Oh yeah. There you go. Oop,
Let's see.
there you go, Uncle.
It's almost 1 o'clock in the afternoon for Guardian Prepper because I always keep
Hmm.
it one of my phones on each place in the world, and it
Yeah.
always cracks me up because why you do that, Uncle Al? Because Uncle Al knows a lot of stuff that you don't. Okay, and this is me.
There you go.
Okay, check
Yeah.
me out. I'm just that little kooky guy that everybody thinks I'm crazy. I'm not a harm, so please do not whack me off. Because a lot of YouTubers in the Ukraine is finally, what happened to him? He drowned. He drowned in the toilet.
Right.
No, his head's blown off because Russia got really upset. So they're going after a lot of YouTubers and social media platforms. They already hit one lady in Australia. They found dead. YouTuber
Really?
found dead. Parents wonder why. Take a wild guess because I keep warning people they never listen. And if you keep
Yeah.
pushing the bear or other media sites, you disappear like the Chinese. You know what happened to a YouTuber in China? Take a
Yeah. Well,
wild
they
guess.
found like wasn't even found strung up like on somewhere or whatever.
No, Matt.
Maybe
Organ
I'm maybe I'm
harvested.
thinking somebody else.
They
Oh,
harvest
oh, that's
his
even better.
organs. Yeah. He lost a liver, both kidneys, his throat, his eyeballs, his heart, half of his lung. It's always wonderful to get organ harvested.
Oh yeah.
And like, yeah, because a lot of people don't understand. You have to be very careful when you're on social medias because you don't know who's running it. And that's the next warfare I have to tell people because they're not doing the heavy nukes, they're doing cyber
Hmm.
warfare. And what
Yeah.
every country don't understand, what is in most developed countries in the world?
Internet.
Well, other than porn and stuff, but that's internet.
Yeah.
But the big thing is nuclear reactors.
Oh yeah.
All you have to do if you want to wipe out everybody is to cyber attack a nuclear reactor, to cyber attack a certain area. Well, what the hell we're going to do with all this radioactive material? Oh, we have an order to drop it off at Washington D.C. So you have 40 trucks full of nuclear waste. Yeah, we got orders to drop it off. Who sent it? I don't know. Somebody cyber hacked on it with a laptop drinking a diet coke. That's
Yep.
how easy to destroy the world. You don't need nukes now. All you need is a laptop or a cell phone.
Yep.
And then that's it. True.
I was going to say, when you guys were speaking about different threats earlier, I was going to say that in every single way, the highest possibility and the most plausible, like, end of the world type scenario would absolutely, in the modern world, involve the fact of threats online, being able to completely, render a country's defenses absolutely useless via online means and methods. And that's the thing where, like, that's straight up in every single way. Like, and that's a form of warfare. I did a
Hmm.
long researched video that I did. It took me a couple of months as well. And I put together this video that was called Top 10 Ways the World Could End, right? I put it together. It took so many hours to make. And the number one thing that would change our life into a SHTF, Teotihuacan, end of the world type of scenario would absolutely be warfare. War in the various means and methods as well, online war. And I think that a lot of countries, with all of this red balloon, blue balloon, they're keeping us as distracted as possible. But there is the threat looming currently of there being, the theatrical side turning into something that would be endanger all of us. But essentially all that I'm saying is that there's a lot of concerning things regarding the online warfare and what the ramifications of the online warfare itself.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
true, Guardian Prepper. If you look right now, why is inflation so high? Well, there's a several answer for it, but other reasons and factors is it's part of cyber warfare. Your tax go up, your fuel prices go up, your food prices go up. All you have to do is, let's see, I want to destroy Texas. Well, let's mess them with that on their fuel prices.
Oh yeah.
Matt, you seen your
Well,
gas
there's
prices. And Texas is an oil producer. How come you got that price over in Texas?
well, I know. Supposedly the refineries off the coast of Corpus Christi are being worked on, quote unquote. That's what they're
Yeah,
saying.
true. That's what they're saying. But
Mhm.
you see, I'm in the valley, and my local refinery, the small one on the
Mhm.
other side of the valley, it's an oil producing area. It's Bakersfield. We have oil here, and we have a very small refinery. That refinery was developed back in the 70s for the military, and we
Yeah.
still got $6 gallon gas. We have state
Yep.
tax and we got federal tax, and they had orders where I live because I drive by sometimes over there to picnic and go search for herbs and stuff around the refinery. They
Mhm.
have orders not to produce gasoline or diesel or anything else. So they're at half production because it
Yeah.
prevents CO2. So our gas
Yeah.
prices in California is $6 to $7.
Yep.
Does that make sense to you
Well,
guys?
it's the same thing here in Texas. We pride ourselves on no food tax, right? We don't tax food at all. And when I went to the grocery store just to get some poblano
Be right back.
peppers because you're good. Um, just just to get some poblano peppers because my poblano peppers already took out their stock. But I went down there and they charged me $1.25 in taxes on the poblano peppers, and I was like, "We're not supposed to have food tax. Why are you charging me taxes on food?" And they said because of the recent distribution disputes and because of the war that's going on, we're taxing for food now to help go towards the distribution areas because it takes so long to come from Mexico.
Right. Oh,
So it's
remember when we
bullshit.
have the ships docking at ports like Texas or California, and then the longshoremen
Hmm.
and Captain Crazy did the whole bit. A lot of those ships say, "Screw this." I just said that in my last video, not this pre one I put up, but the other one. They all went to Mexico and Central America. They're making money down there because all the ports. Hold on,
You're good.
all the shipping ports there. They're having a boom time because they're taking all these freighters, and they
Hmm.
told the unions there because it's cartel, and they told them, "Nah, we're not listening to the unions. We're making money. Screw them. Anybody
Yep.
wants to argue with us? Well, you know what happens when you argue with the cartels down there."
You're right.
Yeah. So they're making money, and all the longshoremen that's working there are getting buku bucks. They're getting 6 times more than what American made, or
Yep.
Texas, or California, or Oregon. All that money's going to Mexico and Central America.
Yep.
Who's stupid? Right. Whose stupid idea to screw up our ports in California, Oregon, and Texas? Take a wild guess, folks. It's bad
Oh,
for the environment, CO2, and we have to support people in our unions.
yeah.
So we're losing like a $500 million a month because it's all going to Mexico. And
Yeah.
Mexico's laughing. Oh, it's all right. We just load it up and ship it on to America and sell it 3 times the price that we get it over here. And they're laughing their heads off.
Oh, I just looked it up. You know what they're calling it? They're calling it a harvester tax.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a joke.
Yeah.
Okay, people, wake up. All right, because Uncle Alan's sick and old, and I find out I might need to do elective surgery. You have
Yeah.
polyps, and it might be cancerous, so we're going to take a foot out of your large intestines.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, that's lovely. I'm trying to get a second opinion from my primary doctors. I've been filling out paperwork, and the wait. Well, let's see. We'll get you into the hospital maybe by November.
Oh,
It's like, so if I need the surgery and if it's life threatening, how long it's going to take? Maybe rest of the summer, maybe next year. And then
yeah,
I have to eat baby food for about 6 months because they have to remove that section for biopsy and then
right.
reattach it to, yeah, I'm going to have a real fun time. Yeah.
Oh, I bet you are, Uncle Al.
Yeah. It's like, what kills me? My gut.
Yeah,
Everything else I survived, nuclear war, no problem.
yeah,
Fast food, no problem. Captain Crazy, no problem. Oh, there's
yeah.
something wrong with your intestines. We have to do exploratory surgery. That sucks.
Oh, I
True.
understand. Modern medicine is the new killer of most people in society.
Right. And then I have different factions in the medical group. Well, we could treat it with chemo, or we could do more exploratory surgery. Yeah, I know breast milk is a baby food too, but I have to eat baby food, baby food. I don't think they have a couple of young ladies like, here, you can milk me, Uncle Al. It's not going to happen, folks. I'm going to be on the world's worst diet because
Oh,
I
yeah.
have to lose weight because
Oh,
less
do
body
you?
fat on me, the easier surgery goes. A lot of
Right.
people don't know that you have a layer of yellow fat on your gut, so you want to trim down because
Yeah.
it's really bad. But when you do surgery, if I've reduced another 40 pounds, they say I get everything done within a month, and I'm back to eating normal food. But I have
Yeah.
to be careful because there's a high risk of infection. That's the number worried for it because you're
Yeah.
doing internal organs, especially digestive system. If it
Yep.
was any other surgery like lung, heart, kidneys, and stuff, you don't have to face the infection of bacteria. I have to face the threat of infection.
Yeah.
But like I said, folks, the Ukraine situation will be ending. I remember the 5 things I told you about that might have a nuclear incident. Number one, Ukraine and Russia. Who's laughing at old Uncle Al now? Number
Hmm.
two, okay, because we don't know what's number one's going to end because we're still in it. Number two is Russia and China, okay, because America is like, oh, Marsha, 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 or Russia, Russia, Russia. You know,
Yeah.
we're the Jan of the world, and Putin looks good. And pretty soon, Mexico, Marsha is going to bitch slap America because they don't realize that everything that Captain Crazy is doing is affecting us. And we're looking like boobs in the rest of the world. Australia's
Yep.
planning on it. France is planning on it. Britain is like Jan. They have no idea. Canada's like totally went off the deep end. Australia is planning to build up their submarine force and also building up their army force for 2 reasons. They have internal problems, and also they don't trust China because China could just barrel right down through and clobber Australia anytime. And most of Australia's cities are on the coast. So it's a
Yeah.
very easy target. They got New Zealand. Thank you, Hickama or Jamaica or what's the prime minister's name of Australia? 5 million Kiwis got killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's old thinking. At Israel versus Iran, it's more likely Iran versus China, Iran versus everybody else. Uh, Not only Israel, the game is the same, but the players have changed, which is weird because now half of the Arab countries are siding with Israel. Nobody wants to touch Iran because, and we have nukes, which is kind of crazy.
Right.
Yeah. That's why Australia and France are hooking up to make submarine fleets. Because yeah, you're going by the good book, true, the Bible. But
So,
like I said, number 3 of Uncle Alan's, what he's saying is going to be number 2 is probably more likely in Central Asia or West Asia. And number 3 is where Auslander is, Australia and the Southeast. That's the most people living on Earth there. And you're going to have a 5-way fight between all the territories there. Japan will not let Taiwan fall to the CCP. Okay? Even if Captain Crazy orders everybody to leave, everybody who's there, the Air Force and Marines, are going to get screwed because they can't like pick up and we're going now. No, they're really screwed. Australia, same way. Uh, we're not the Kiwis. 5 million Kiwis are screwed by Jamaica or Jicama. Anybody knows how to pronounce that lady's name, Prime Minister? Uh,
No, I thought it
J
was Hickam, but
Jacind. Australia should be worried about New Zealand. New Zealand is doing a lot of weird things. So 5 million Kiwis bought the farm. That's how you say Auslanders wrote it down.
Jacinta,
Jacinta, Jamaica,
Jacinta, yeah, something like that.
right?
Jacinta, I think.
Yeah, she got so much, buddy buddy with Sing, the little Pooh Bear kind of guy.
Hmm. But what were you gonna say, Guardian?
oh no, no, no. I actually just I was just going to say that if you control the tides, specifically with Uncle Al saying that so much of the populations across the world as well. In fact, like the absolute majority of human civilization lives on coastal cities around the world. So like you disrupt that, or you have an impact on the tides and the coast, and you can have, and there's so many different methods that they're currently using. They've admitted and came out with it clearly that they do absolutely control weather, and if they control weather, and if they wanted to, the thing is all of this, right? Like I see everything, and I know that with the technology that's available and with the capability that they have and with the exorbitant amount of money that's poured into online security and safety systems, and the reason why they hire most of the hackers, the reason why all of this exists, they spend an extremely much more than you can imagine amount of money on people, right? And like and they spend so much money on people and invest in people that can completely be able to be like a room full of hackers. That's where Stuxnet and Nitro Zeus come into play. Stuxnet and the Nitro Zeus organization itself. And if you look at the way that all of the countries, the allied countries themselves, all pour money into the online like teams that they have. And this is the cyber warfare has been going on since 2012. And for us to think that we're not in cyber warfare currently, or that countries couldn't completely just annihilate each other if they chose to do so, it all is a donkey show. It's all something, for some reason, it's all just smoke and mirrors. And I just can't understand like how they're just distracting us directly from the last 2 years events right into this now, like, oh no, WW3 potentially and whatever. It's like, yeah, well, the comment that you brought up there, second star, for a moment there about the China. I'll never say anything against China for my own safety and for the safety of the people that I love. I would never say anything against
Hmm.
China, and I'll never say anything against Russia either. What I will say, however, is that if the bear and the dragon unite, that is a threat that the world will never be able to like in any way like stand up against, because of certain factors that I can't get into right now. But what I will say is, because of the fact that the equator, the warm belt for growth and for sustainability when it does come to agricultural land, is moving up north slowly. So what will eventually happen is, in Russia, they have an extremely large amount of land, that's going to become arable soon. And when that does take place, there's absolutely no stopping Russia because of the power that they've currently got, the ideology behind the fact that every single Russian citizen is armed and ready for fighting, every single one of them. And if you take that all of that into consideration, you're looking at a guaranteed next superpower when it comes to Russia. So you say, why, when Russia thinks about long term, are they currently pushing what they are? And that's a topic regarding politics. And I don't get into politics directly, but what I am saying is things are concerning, is what I'll say.
Okay,
I understand, brother.
to comment on Guardian prepping, he's right, and also Auslander. The big problem is United States is abandoning Israel, and Russia says, "Well, join us. We'll help you out." So are the Arab countries. A lot of people don't understand. I won't go into politics because that'll give you a
Yeah.
headache. The the bear and dragon are right now staring at each other, snarling because of Central Asia, West Asia, and also the South Pacific. Japan is mad as hell at Captain Crazy because they requested delivery systems for the nuclear warhead. Right now, they have half of the nuclear warheads because a lot of people don't know that Japan didn't trust nobody and they've been secretly since the 80s developing plutonium warheads.
Mm-hmm.
They're plutonium raw state, but they have to develop it to a warhead, but they need delivery systems. It's a little hard on horseback when you have a nuclear bomb. We're right to where China with nuclear war. No, they need delivery systems, and the only ones offering to Japan is Russia.
Yeah.
And Captain Crazy says, you should be neutral in all this. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of you." Like you took care of Taiwan? No. Okay. So the bear and the dragon are facing off. They're not joining forces because if they lose in this current dirty war, China is going to hit them so hard. Number one, number two, in West and Central Asia, that they won't recover, and they're nervous about China invading their lands. If Guardian Prepper is right, it's a good. Russia has the longest border in the world.
Yeah.
You don't think strategically they would do so, though? This is the thing, Uncle Al, and I'll never ever repeat what I'm just about to say now. But wouldn't it be obvious for them to do so as a distraction and to make everybody see as though that's what's happening? Meanwhile, they're doing something completely when it comes to how the alliances are working out and what their actual long intent is, because both countries don't just do things for the immediate. We both know, and we all three of us, I believe, know that the way that the CCP works is not for the short term. They in no way look at the short term, nor does Russia. Russia doesn't see things for the short term either. Remember who is leading Russia at the moment and what training he's actually had. You never ever play your next chess move just on the next chess move as well. You always play moves and moves and moves ahead as much as possible. That's how you win chess, not by moving and taking any of the pieces.
Right, but they're not playing chess, they're playing Go. China and Russia are playing Go, which is the
That's concerning. Yeah.
white circles and the black circles. They're trying to outdo each other. Okay, for one thing,
Well,
they have two separate systems that hate each other. If they do, they're trying to combine because Captain Crazy gave information to China, and China says, "Can you wait until the Winter Olympics is over, and then you can do whatever you want in Ukraine?" And the Russians find out that they got triple crossed by China. Wait, aren't you supposed to be our buddies? And you sold information to the Americans? So they're
see,
mad as hell. Okay,
yeah.
Russia has no friends and they're cornered and they're mad as hell. You can't kick the bear and the nads all the time. I keep warning people that. And they're not friendly. Sorry to cut you off, Matt, but they're
You good?
not they're not friendly to China right now because they back when China and Russia were trying to hook up, there's a lot of differences, and Russia recently found out that they've been snookered by China, like everybody else. Okay, and Putin in the last I think 10 years of power is cleaning up his own area, and he's going to go after China. That's number two. Either China goes after them or they go after China. That's what I'm worried about. Number two. Number three is South Pacific. And number four, well, I already told you about that. But they have to be very, very careful. True. Uh, the bear wanted to be part of NATO, but who screwed that one up in 2008? And he was vice president at the time. But I won't get into that because there's too many
Yeah.
factors that's going on, and I have to read 12 different patterns. Okay. Putin wants the EU. He doesn't like the EU for two reasons: NWO and CCP. And Poland is, I warn people in Poland, you have, like in Ukraine, they had 30 biological labs, 6 listening posts, and they're like a lot of the Chinese agents there. We're Japanese. Don't kill us. We're Japanese. They are pissed.
See, I look at it more on the simplistic idea.
No,
If
don't do
China
that.
wanted to, if 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 the dragon wanted to really cripple a lot of the first world countries, all they have to do is just stop all their exporting. I mean, just the basic stuff that is imported over here, like our basic day-to-day needs and everything from toothbrushes to toilet
No, no,
paper
no,
to
no, no. They would make you stronger. That's the thing. The impression is what you're saying, absolutely across the board. But if they actually had to do that, they would be empowering you more than they could. They realize that in the short term, yes, cut you off 100%. Wait until you start producing everything for yourself. Wait until you can grow your economy on your own economy and not on the whole global economy, which is currently what you're depending on. And then you don't need to owe the world as much as you currently do. Right now, you're in debt much more than you could ever pay back. But if you start producing your own goods and services and manufacturing everything on your own, that's what the recent president actually wanted. Whether or not I don't give a damn. I'll never mention whether I like him or not.
yeah.
I don't give two damns about who he is. But what he was trying to do was trying to produce locally, and that's something that most countries could absolutely benefit from. But they become too interdependent, and there's a lot of corruption within interdependence, and that's the biggest problem.
Right.
Well, the way I see it is because America has moved out all of their big businesses to China, to Mexico, to other countries and everything. Just the construction, the building alone, where we don't even have enough, like here in Texas, we don't even have enough government funding from the not just the Texas government, but the actual government to help us with construction of highways, buildings, like even there's been the immigration offices that's been supposed to be building up from the the US government that still has been not even touched for the last 3 years because we don't have enough backing or anything to build this stuff. And these big businessmen and everything like that, they got out of here for a reason. They got out of here because of the land, because of the taxes and everything else. And the way the economy is right now, the way everything is jacked up and too expensive. I mean, even you know, business lands, business sections of land and everything are multi-million dollars. Like Via, which is a state government run bus station here. Their last building that they built was $80 million, and it's not even used at all. Like, and they're not making any money from it. They're not doing anything. So for those big businesses and those big companies to try to rebuild and get the people to work in an economy where the government is babying everybody to where they don't have to work. They're still reaping benefits and this and stuff. Getting just the workforce alone to try to rebuild our economy or rebuild anything of basic needs would take 5 to 6 years at least. And that's not even talking about the building of it.
Right. Now I have to explain what Matt said and stuff more
Hey,
complex.
Van City.
Hi, Van City. And also on Guardian Prepper.
Yeah.
The trouble is, a lot of people mistake China as the world supplier. It is, but they don't have the resources. Guess
Oh,
who
yeah.
has all the resources right now that China wants? And people
Uh,
miss it ain't us,
yeah. Isn't it
it
the
Russia.
other like yeah.
It's Russia. Because Russia took out the Ukrainian CCP backed artificial fertilizer plant. That was one of
Hmm.
the earliest targets they did last month, was wipe that out. So all the artificial fertilizer synthetics, because everybody in the EU wanted to be green, and Putin said, hell no, we're keeping our plants. So
Yeah.
that's the only source. About 80% of the world's source of nitrogen, potash, and phosphorus comes out of the Soviet Union. Not, I gotta stop saying Soviet Union. Out of Russia. Out of
Yeah.
Russia. Also wheat,
Hey,
because
Derek,
all
how
the
you
Arab
doing?
countries know if they go against Russia, they don't get wheat.
Yeah.
All right. China does not produce any resources. They're resource starved. That's why their people are eating cockroach soup. That's why a
Hmm.
lot of their cities on the coast, West China and Central China, is about to go nuclear war, number three,
Yeah.
against their own government because their provinces are starving to death. And while the CCP, like, you're communists, go suffer, they have their own troubles at home because they built these stupid cities instead of getting resources and stuff. And all the green programs suck.
Yeah.
Solar, electric cars and stuff. Where do the rare metals and nickel, like nickel, copper, aluminum, all the stuff they need, lithium, comes from? And it ain't
That
America. And we
yeah.
just call that country a nasty bunch of names.
Right.
Russia. Okay?
Yeah.
Russia has all the cards. They have wheat, they have fuel, they have fertilizer. That's why China is looking at Western Asia and Central Asia, because if they want to take all that resources, where the easiest route they could do?
Remember, they've got everything in Siberia. Siberia is so rich in all the resources too. Exactly.
Right.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Phil. Yeah.
And also it's warming up. So a lot of those
Yeah.
places are
Yep.
easier to invade. So how big is the Chinese army? And you don't need boats. All you have to do is go over the border.
Hmm. It's just from what I see, because Texas has a lot of small businesses around here, and all their stock and everything comes from Chinese warehouses. That
Hmm.
and I know, I know personally because my father-in-law, he used to have his business running from the Chinese surplus stores and everything. And in the before he died and everything, it was hard and it was harder and harder and harder to get the the items that he needed because China was stopping the distribution here in Texas of all their basic necessity items from toys to even the cheap baseball hats that they make and everything. And not only, I mean, not only just that, but they were doing, like I said, toilet paper, toothbrushes, Q-tips, even shampoo and body wash. And that's what my father-in-law made his money on, was all that stuff.
Right.
And once they stopped it, even the even the Dollar Trees are stopping on carrying a lot of basic necessities because they get it from China, you know?
Right. Nobody can beat China on manufacturing. That's not a
Right.
problem. Right now, we're in resource wars all over the world,
Yeah.
and they explain, Auslander and also Vodka Vamp also explained this. China has been buying a lot of stuff out of Australia. That's why they're eyeing on Australia, because resources. And most of their population, again, lives on the coast. So the biggest thing is the bear and the dragon. They're not
Mm-hmm.
buddy buddies. They could work together on certain projects, but it's like a bad poker game. You have the CCP on one side, you have everybody else on the other chairs. You have Captain Crazy wondering, I have a 2 and a 1 and a Uno card. And then you have Putin dressed as a gambler with a Derringer on the table. China has a knife, and Captain Crazy here has a Twinkie.
Yeah.
Do I feel safe? No.
Oh yeah, I don't either. But I know just from our military alone. I mean, like the basic needs and everything, like care packages and stuff like that, have dwindled, going to just our troops alone. And when you saw, because even going through like a even going through a survival scenario, whatever, the things that make us feel human, if that's taken out of the scenario, it drives people mentally crazy when
Right.
they know they can't get just a basic thing to make them smell good or brush their teeth or whatever. That affects not only just, you know, it affects everything. It affects workflow. Affects, human interaction. It would not just affect us on, a rebuilding scale. It would affect more people going into riots, more people, in the country. We can literally, you could destroy the country from the inside because citizens are stupid. Citizens don't care. Like, they want their stuff now, at a moment's notice. And if we can't get it to them, we saw it with the toilet paper crisis at the beginning of the pandemic, you
Right.
know?
But
And
I
that was
have
just toilet paper.
right. Let me comment on Auslander. Yes,
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why they're going to invade Australia. Uranium. People forget this. I'm all up to date on world geopolitics, but
yeah,
I have to warn people it's resource wars. And two, what Captain Crazy says, buy American, build American. It's going to take us 15 years.
right. It's going to take at least 6 years to get the idea and the planning. Then that 15 years for the actual doing of it, getting the people, building the structures, setting the machinery, getting the materials. And we're already in a material crisis right now. How can we rebuild if we can't even distribute the shit, the basic stuff that we have now?
Right.
How are we going to do that on anything else?
Right. That's why I tell people to invest in railroads. But the
Hmm.
big problem with a lot of places, true Guardian Pepper, what did you say?
No, no,
Yeah,
not a problem. Continue. I can definitely hold the thought. Go ahead.
No, go ahead with your thought.
yeah.
Guardian, you go with your thought.
All right. So what I was going to say is the problem is that as soon as people do start being innovative, I know that a lot of the world's perspective on Elon Musk at the moment is almost negative, which is so crazy to me, right? And it's unfortunate because in our country in South Africa, like Elon Musk being from here is somebody that like we can kind of, look like and say, hey, like look what he basically rose up from South Africa and he's able to be so innovative and he's got a lot of excellent technology that's out there and he's trying to do things that do make the world a better place in a lot of ways. And nobody can say that his technology isn't incredible when it comes to some of the things he's doing. He's like a modern day Iron Man. And that for some reason, like across the world, in all of his achievements, everybody keeps like nailing on him and saying, Elon Musk or whatever. Like, do you know what it feels like when the one person that's come from your country is like really doing well out there and like everybody just keeps hating on him? What it feels like as a South African when that happens the whole time. It's like, imagine if there was one really big guy in the world that came from your country and your home of birth, right? And then like the whole world just kept knocking him all the time. Like, what would that actually feel like to you if you think about it for a second? And then it's not just that. It's like, it's the fact that when people are innovating and we're trying to progress the world as a civilization, people should be, go support him. Like, keep doing. When's the next Elon Musk coming? Kind of thing, get more people like that so that we can progress the society. And the problem is that with food and with people suffering and poverty and stuff, the one problem that we're trying to resolve at the moment is the logistics behind it. So if we could correct the logistics and have the technology to improve the logistics and distribution of food globally, we would have so much less suffering across the earth. And that's like the biggest thing about it. And that's why I just don't understand. Like, that's why I am a bit like, you could say, a fanboy for Elon Musk, because how would you feel if that was the one person really making a big difference out there in the world coming from your place and everybody just kept knocking him? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I do take it a bit personally. Way
I
more than I
respect
could. And in
Elon
truth, it's
Musk.
like, he doesn't even know me, so what the hell am I doing defending him for? You know what I mean?
Right. I have to comment on both your comments.
Yeah.
One, Elon Musk is a genius. He has some weird quirks, but I understand where he's coming from. The trouble with improving the world, there's two factions that wants most of the public to be stupid and retarded. Sorry for those words, but it's the truth. You watch any of the mass media, they're always singing and dancing.
Yep.
Okay. They're eating like, you don't have to work. You could do this or that. They don't want people to progress. If you look at any of the world's education, it's like, okay, this is why everybody's were idiots. Over the years, we became stupid. In South Africa, you had to learn how to read Latin and Greek. In Japan, you had to learn English, Latin, Greek, Russian, all sorts of languages to be international. And then we got stupider and stupider over the last 50 years. We went from high school algebra to basic reading. Where did the hell that came from? Oh, we learned about everybody's civil rights. Okay, and you can't add basic math. Oh no, Uncle, we just put this line right here, and you put that line right here, and I use my cell phone, and the problem solved. I'm like,
well, we've gotten stupider because of technology. Also, I mean, there's not a single person in the United States that can remember a basic phone number without having it on their smartphone.
right.
People
Does anybody knows how to use this? Right, Matt. But does anybody knows how to use a sextant or a map or a compass? No, we have all GPS on our phones, Uncle.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them like, those don't work out at sea. Here's the sextant. Give me the coordinates. And they're looking like I, again, stepped on their cat. I'm not supposed to get excited. That's when taking tranquilizers. But the big problem is, folks, mankind has been conditioned to be Smurfs. You have the elites and you have the Smurfs. So when I hear people, we could grow food organically. We could do all the technology and well education and treat humanity normal. But there's two factions that don't want to do that. That's the CCP and the NWO. And I don't want
Yeah,
to get into those guys because seriously, those guys
I
are
don't either.
nuts.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, because I still have to do part 2 on biohacking, which is really interesting, folks. A lot of people are trying to advance, not in schools, not in laboratories, not professional scientists, but some idiot in the garage says, we could take tattoos and put in electronics in there, and we could call
Yeah.
on our hand by just touching certain parts of the tattoo. Or my breasts are glowing, so I don't need a flashlight. It's like that kind of idiocy, on bad technology, like Matt says. It's like, why aren't you working on a fluorine thorium reactor? And every time I mention this, their eyes roll back and they look like, old Uncle Alan's crazy. What the hell's that? Star Wars?
Well, Google, I want to say 5 years ago came out with the Google glasses, right? Google glasses could connect you to the internet. You could do everything through your glasses, see everything through your glasses. And now Apple is creating the Apple contact lens, where you literally get these computer screens put into your pupils, and the first test and everything that happened, I think last year, the test subject and everything had it fused to their eyeball.
Right, and caused temporary blindness. They had to
Yeah.
do emergency surgery so he could see, and he has to wear glasses because his perfect 20/20 vision in that eye
Hmm.
got screwed up because what happened was it well, most of this technology, Apple, is
Yeah.
coming out where it's the
Uh,
country between Mongolia and Japan. It's not
yeah.
Japanese or Korean because they also fiddled around with the contacts and found out it wasn't viable. They use
Hmm.
5G to operate the contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody knows what 5G is? It's like the microwave oven. So you had a
Hmm.
little miniature microwave in your eyeball and it
Yeah.
fused into the cornea. So they
Yeah.
had to do emergency surgeries before he lost the eye. It worked fine, except,
Yeah.
5G.
It just fused, like it overheated or something, and I'm like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like, I I I don't understand how far we've came with this technology that we're now implementing it into our bodies.
Oh,
Like, we know it's horrible.
right. But you haven't got the gist of it because
Yeah.
I'm doing part 2 of biohacking. When you see it, you
Mhm.
be shocked what they've been doing. It's like that green smoothie drink you've been drinking to lose weight.
Yeah.
It was formulated for the concentration camps to control the inmates there next to
Yeah.
fluorine, to control the inmates from rioting or overthrowing the guards. So you need less guards to control half starved, half crazed people who do your commands. Some people rioted and fought against the guards. That's why they
Yeah.
developed the smoothie program, or on troops that were coming back after being shell shocked. You drink this smoothie and eat a vegetarian diet, and you'll be back to normal after certain
Oh,
chemical treatments.
did you hear about the nutrient paste dispensers that they're putting in Japanese factories?
Yeah.
Because it's free food, but it's a nutrient paste like baby food, and you get as much as you want, and it's supposed to be a mix between energy drink, a um like mix between energy drink, Powerade, and a nutrient bar, like all together to keep you going, like a
Uh,
drug.
it is. You don't want to know who developed that. The
No,
Japanese
I
and the
don't.
Nazis, because they had a sort of a nutrient paste that they were going around, but people don't want to eat paste. So in 40s Germany, they put
Mm.
methamphetamines and other vitamins and stuff into chocolate. So if
Oh,
you're a soldier and you feel tired and out of whack, you ate a bar of chocolate, or I forget
yeah.
how to pronounce it, and it's dark chocolate. And next thing, like, yeah, I don't need to sleep for 3 days. Yeah.
Right?
Oh, and the Japanese
It's
had one that
crazy.
they gave to the troops, a little sesame seed and honey bar that they ate,
Mm.
and then bonsai charge now, bonsai against tanks,
Yeah.
bonsai against this. They went nuts. Primary ingredient methamphetamines, and then they had all the other stuff. So today,
Yeah.
as a diet or a nutrient supplement, they make more money. Just don't add the methamphetamines. So you got
Right.
nutrient paste tubes in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't like it. They do
Yeah.
it in factories because it saved time. They had a couple of big riots over it too.
Yeah.
It's always fun when you see the factory worker chase the management with big sticks and poles. And if
Right.
anybody wants to see a good Japanese riot, they go watch the Japanese news, because they don't like it. They want the traditional obento style factory meal, which was a little
Yeah.
box, and you had your rice and you had your fish, or you had whatever, and a hot soup.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you switch to paste, a lot a lot of the factory workers, uh, well,
I
one
heard it
of
was,
them,
brother.
they didn't like it, and the guy was hanged because he took his grandfather's katana and said,
Yeah.
"You eat this paste," because he was mad because he's a skilled worker.
Yeah.
I read a book. I don't care about electronics.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, only I use electronics for this, and but I got to use it at work. So when I'm away from it, I'm fine.
Right. I
That's
got
why I do
books.
live streams and not videos,
Right. I
so
do
I can talk.
videos. My family says I got to learn how to use one of these things, but
Oh yeah,
yeah. But like I said, when I'm revved up and I'm doing research and stuff, I either use the internet, the phone, and stuff. But most of the time, I like to read books and
yeah,
magazines, and I don't really care. Or I'll just sit down and play real music, because
right,
after 1962, it's full of drug addicts and weirdos.
yeah.
But
So, no, go ahead.
Go ahead, Guardian.
go ahead, Gardy.
I'm very I'm just enjoying the natural flow and the passiveness of this live stream while talking about these type of topics. So please go ahead. I can absolutely. I'll just wanted to touch on Neuralink. Like I'll speak about my opinion of Neuralink here in a moment, but continue. I won't forget. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, a lot of people are going past Neuralink, and because I'm doing part 2 of biohacking,
Hmm.
Neuralink's so old fashioned. It went
Yes,
past,
exactly. Yeah.
because a lot of people don't know that you could do a tattoo, rub on tattoo. Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to hook up to the internet, there's a tattoo from the grinders out of San Francisco. That's the turn of the biohackers there. All you
Hmm.
have to do is put this invisible tattoo on your forehead or on your right hand, and you're in the internet. There's no
Oh yeah.
neural link. All you have to do is have this tattoo on your head or on your right hand. Doesn't it sound like something from the Bible? I keep telling people. And it's the grinders, that's the biohackers in San Francisco, say, yeah, it's our new project, 666. I'm like, okay, that's getting a little spooky there.
Uncle Al, I'm only saying this because I really care about you and I've learned a lot from you. And that's why one of the reasons why I value you for who you are. Not just for your personality, but your knowledge and wisdom that you've instilled upon the people that do decide to follow you. But what I will say is I just be cautious down certain rabbit holes. Just you know what I'm saying. I just don't want anything. I'm not even dramatic or light of it, but yeah, just be very careful how deep you go into biohacking. Like specifically, instead, there's three main companies that are leading the way when it does come to the technology. Be very cautious of the two larger companies. The third company is pretty, it's pretty open, but the two largest companies at the moment leading the way the technology specifically that they're busy with is my point. So I just wanted to explain my personal opinion of Neuralink is definitely out of date in a lot of ways. They are working with so much technology that is very advanced as well. Technology that they won't even allow us at all as citizens to know about. And so there's stuff absolutely that's out there that I know nothing about, and that's the stuff as well that kind of like, it's not the things that I know very little bit about. It's the stuff that I don't even know at all about, and not that none of us really do. That is more pressing and concerning as well. So this is going to be a very bland and blanket way to say this, but so I would rather not die. All right. And I know that that's a controversial thing to say because there are religious people that believe that mortality is something that we need to have. And I can understand that, right? I'm not, saying that I don't have any, strength in faith at all. However, I do have a very open religion when it does come to the way that I view the religions across the world. I try and love everybody equally. So what I'm saying is that about this, what I'm saying is that when it does come to Neuralink, I know that we are currently leading the way. If you look at the technology that is currently available to us, as opposed to, you'd say, about 100 years ago or further back in time, we are living in such an extremely exciting time and period where the capability for us to have the quote-unquote singularity, where we're able to upload our conscious mind as well, to be eternal and to never have to face mortality where the lights get turned off. I love life as much as the next person, and because I celebrate and have such a high amount of passion for life itself, I don't want this to just be temporary. I know that some people are okay with that, but for me, I definitely think that because I try to add to the world as much as I can in a positive way, that I would, if I had to live for 200 to 300 years, for example, via technology, I can only imagine that I would continue to try and make the world a better place. And I think that for people that have that perspective, that's only, it's just something that I would love to see go in a positive way without it getting dark, because I know that there's a lot of darkness behind it. If it goes wrong, it can go very wrong. I know, but I'm just saying, like, from my perspective, Neuralink can help people that are currently disabled and help them to be able to communicate much easier. Neuralink has so many good values that people can use to make sure that we improve the world. And Neuralink is a very small asset, as Uncle Al says, very, very small aspect of the current advancements of technology regarding, AI and stimuli, and the way that people have being able to merge slowly more and more. Biology and biohacking is very interesting, Uncle Al. I just think that all of it entirely is we as human beings are very scared of and cautious of change. Change will always be something that kind of makes us, be wary. And I understand that change is never something easy, and it is something that can sometimes be negative. As human beings, it's for our own self preservation that we don't want to end up in a situation where change affects us negatively. That's why we're cautious of it. But I think that via the means of technology, there are some silver linings that could be had in the future. And I just hope that via technology that we do experience less suffering through the world. And there are things that have occurred within the last several decades that people aren't always completely understanding of, where the world is getting better. There are more people with the capability to have fresh drinking water every year as the years go by. Through technology, people have more access to that. We have more people who are capable of experiencing what it's like to have a slight advancement when it comes to opportunities. As in previous generations, there were no advancements the way that they're able to be made right now. There are so many different things that now people have access to information like they've never had before. These things quickly get overlooked because people don't want to focus on them, because as all media applies, if it bleeds, it leads, right? So it'll go into something where we try and only almost search out the negative, and it kind of has us seeing the world in a very pessimistic way. And if we were to only kind of alter that perspective and try, and I know it sounds so cheesy, but if we were to truly try and have a lighter and more opportunistic worldview and a brighter worldview in general, we could absolutely turn things around for everybody. Because if everybody's thinking negative, it's going to be negative all the time, no matter where you look at it. But if everybody's trying to be positive and have a more uplifting aspect and try and treat other people more equally and fairly and try and be of good value, like, we could absolutely make the world a better place. And that's my ramble and my rant. Sorry, Uncle Al.
It's the
You're
right
good.
Guardian Prepper. I have to close on biohacking. Biohacking comes in many forms, and I have to do warn people. Guardian Prepper was right. There's two companies, but they're also sponsoring people in their backyards, garages, basements to do
Mhm.
biohacking on their own. And I know these companies because a couple of them are asking me questions. And I told them, easiest way if you want prolonged life is to put a nanobot in the system. And they're
Yep.
looking at me like, why? Because it monitors the body and you could self correct any diagnosis. And they
Yes,
asked me, how do
yes.
you solve the problem? I tell them, because you guys got it all wrong. And they looked at me like, you're some kind of weirdo genius, aren't you, Uncle Al? No, I read the lines and I know what I'm doing. Michael Jackson tried it and he failed. Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was a biohacker. He had a barometric chamber, oxygen. Oxygen is necessary when you get older to vitalize the cells of the body. He was trying to live forever, but he could not get the second phase. And I keep telling people everybody screws this one up, and that's the blood, okay, in biohacking. Blood, you cannot take young people's blood and put it into Michael Jackson. It didn't work. It didn't work in the 30s. It didn't work in the 40s. It had some things like the goat doctor. God, that was
The blood,
crazy as
the
hell.
I
Count Battery, the blood countess. Remember,
Right.
even in those
yeah.
days,
Yeah,
I
but
have to I have to say something because I'm a type 1 diabetic and I'm a juvenile diabetic. My pancreas doesn't produce insulin. And a company came to me almost 8 years ago, and they were a organ transplant company, but they they have expanded their research, and now they took my blood and they are cloning a new pancreas for me with my own blood. And in it's a company in Canada called Growing Up. And first they were replacing people's organs with like animal organs, and that worked. And but yeah, like 50-50. But but now in the year 2025, I'm supposed to my pancreas is supposed to be cloned, and I'm going to go and have surgery and everything and put it in my body. The only bad thing is it's such a hard surgery because of where the pancreas is and everything. And and they're doing it for free for me. And the doing the surgery and this whole entire growing and everything, and I'm supposed to be like the new spokesperson for them. Yeah.
if you
And
survive, that's the problem,
right.
Matt. Because the goat doctor had success of transplanting goat glands and blood into elderly people.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, 50% of them died. The other
Yeah.
50 were like, yeah, I had six more kids. I'm so vital and I could jump up and down. They had one guy did a 10-kilometer run
Yeah.
after doing that, but other people were like, I don't feel good and dropped dead. That
Yeah.
was in the 30s and 40s. And then, the Nazis got a hold of it, and so did the Soviets and the Americans.
Mhm.
The problem with blood and cloning tissues, you have to be very suspicious because you're
Yeah.
AB negative. Is it AB negative?
I I don't know.
What's your blood type?
Mine I have O, just
You,
regular O.
that's perfect. O is perfect because it's a neutral base and it can be adapted to anything. But with
Yeah.
the blood type, I keep telling them you have to create new blood in the system to
Yeah.
make people live 200, 300 years longer. Once you get the oxygen and new blood in, do not go puncturing little kids, you know,
Yeah.
we want your blood, blah. No, it
Yeah. They
doesn't
took
work
they
like
took a pint of my blood to
right.
clone this thing,
Right. If they
and
were really serious, they take the inside of your large intestines, which got me kind of nervous because I don't want to be cloned. We'll
they
just
they
take a little.
took they
Go
they
ahead.
took some they cut my stomach open and they took some fat cells from me. I know that. So I don't know what that has to do with it or anything, but
All right. A fat cell's easy to clone with blood, but like I said,
okay.
a lot of these companies are sponsoring these people to do biohacking at home. So
Yeah.
it's like the guy who got the antenna sticking out his head so he could see colors or smell colors.
Hmm.
That was weird.
Yeah.
And then Neuralink, they're trying to people who are disabled and can't talk or move or anything to put
Yeah.
an exoskeleton combined with Neuralink so they can move and walk and talk through electronic box.
Right.
Okay, it sounds like Doctor Who. The
Yeah.
Daleks coming around. We will exterminate. Bad
Yeah.
science fiction. Sorry about that, but
You're
you have
good.
to you have to be very careful with biotechnology because it's different forms. I study like the food part or the
Yeah.
genetics part or the vivisection or biosurgery, which
Hmm.
Matt's been talking about to clone things. I
Yeah.
did that in the first part when I tell people if you read what's called H.G. Wells, he did
Hmm.
two of them. I think the first one was uh, I'm trying to think. Island of Dr. Moreau. And there was
Yes.
another
Yeah.
one where they messed around with people's genes, the food of the gods, where they developed food,
I
boom
never read
food.
that one.
Yeah, it's three novels where
Okay.
giant rats, giant chickens, giant kids, not
Yeah.
goats, I mean real kids. I'm 14 years old and I'm 6 foot tall, you know,
Yeah.
or, things like that. But I keep telling people with biohacking, you have to be very cautious. All right.
What, honey? Hold on. Hold on. I'll be back.
All right. You have to be very cautious, like Guardian Prepper. There's three companies. One's open. The other two are sponsoring these people, and it's mainly out of the Bay Area because they want to keep quiet
Yeah,
and they don't, you know, like Guardian says,
precisely. You have to be
yeah,
so cautious. Yeah.
yeah, but I don't want to be cloned. I don't want to be an android. I don't want to be like Iron Man or Vision. Well, we'll just transplant his brain into a android like Westworld. It's not a problem. That's another form of biohacking. If you ever watch Westworld, the new series, they're taking people's memories and brains, their like Guardian purposes, and implanting into androids. I don't want to be android for next 1,000 years. Like, God damn it, I have to clean up all the human mess. And here's Uncle Alan with a shovel, like, you stupid
No, no.
humans.
If yeah, that's the difference between free will. If you still had free will, but you have you have the capability to not have the problems that come with the biological frame which we currently have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Um, I'm going to have to get off here, guys. The
Very good.
wife just threw up and everything, so I'm probably going to have to take her to the doctor. So,
All the best, brother. I hope that she recovers quickly and that all is well on that side as well. Thank you for having the panel, and thank you, Uncle Al, as well. I'm going to say bye here, and yeah, stay safe out there, everybody, and remember how important water is right now amongst everything. Bye bye.
Bye bye, folks.
take care. Thank you for joining, Prepper, Guardian, brother. But, uh, yeah, thank you for joining me, Uncle Al. And everybody, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Hello, Morning Light. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to get off of here. The wife's sick and everything. I may have to take her to the hospital. So, um, thank you all, and tomorrow will be another, late night chat. So take care, everybody. Love you. Be careful out there. Bye, family.